The sports and entertainment world responds to the coronavirus. Hi, everyone. Hope you're staying safe in these turbulent times, and thanks for joining us here at Plain English, where we're practicing social distancing and generally taking it easy. I'm Jeff. Your producer is JR. And this is Plain English lesson number 245. The full lesson can be found at plainenglish.com/245. Coming up today, stadiums are empty, sports channels have no events to cover, cruise ships are docked, Broadway is dark, movie sets are quiet. The entertainment industry has responded to the coronavirus by canceling large gatherings. Later in the episode, we'll talk about the phrasal verb come into contact with. And have you ever heard the phrase no matter? If so, then you'll want to watch today's video lesson at plainenglish.com/245. The video lesson talks about how to use no matter in a sentence, and it's a good one. There's a famous saying in show business, the show must go on. It means that no matter what happens, no matter what goes wrong, you have to give the customers what they paid for. The show must go on. In the wake of the coronavirus, the sports and entertainment industries decided the show must not go on. With concerns about large gatherings of people and widespread uncertainty about the virus, one global entertainment institution after another shut down. It started with sports. This is a big time in the American sports calendar, where almost every major sport is either at the end or the beginning of its season. American college basketball was under pressure to protect the university students playing in March Madness, a mega popular basketball tournament held in March and April each year. The NCAA, the governing body of university sports, first said the tournament would be held without any fans. It later bowed to the pressure and canceled the tournament entirely. A player in America's professional basketball league fell ill the day of a game and tested positive late in the afternoon. Just minutes before his team was scheduled to play, a medical official sprinted onto the court to talk with the officials who called the game off. Basketball is a contact sport, and dozens of players from other teams had to be quarantined because they would have come into contact with the infected player. Shortly thereafter, the league suspended the season, and the entire Utah Jazz team had to be quarantined in their arena. The National Hockey League shares stadiums and locker rooms with the basketball teams, and they too suspended their season. The basketball and hockey seasons are coming to a close, but baseball is just getting started. America's Baseball League was a holdout, saying they would avoid playing in areas affected by the virus, but that the games would be played. But as state governors increasingly banned large gatherings of people, the idea of moving games to safe sites became untenable. Baseball canceled the second half of its preseason and delayed the start of its regular season by at least 2 weeks. That has since been extended with no official date given for opening day. The entire season now seems to be in jeopardy. Japan's professional baseball league is delayed by 2 weeks as well. Elsewhere in sports, several tournaments on the professional golf circuit were either canceled or delayed, including the Masters. The French Open was postponed. America's Soccer League suspended play for 30 days. The Boston Marathon, famous race, was postponed. The London Marathon was also postponed. The English Premier League season has been suspended until April 4th. Spain, Italy, the Netherlands, France, and Germany saw their soccer leagues suspended. Portugal's games are being played with no fans. The Euro 2020 tournament has been delayed until 2021. The amusement and entertainment industry is also canceling events. Disney announced that its theme parks would close, and filming on all Disney movies would be suspended. 4 major cruise lines all suspended operations for a month. That now looks optimistic. The cruise industry may not survive this pandemic intact. The K-pop concert series in Seoul, South Korea was canceled. Concert tours by Pearl Jam, Avril Lavigne, Miley Cyrus were all called off. E3, a video game tournament in Los Angeles, was canceled. A famous music and cultural festival called South by Southwest in Austin, Texas, was canceled this year, leaving contractors and vendors without their biggest annual source of revenue. St. Patrick's Day parades in Ireland and America were canceled, but revelers still took to the streets and the bars and were subsequently criticized by their mayors for doing so. Tokyo's Cherry Blossom Festival and Okinawa's Azalea Festival were canceled. New York's Museum of Modern Art and Metropolitan Museum of Art were closed, as were dozens of other museums around the world. Broadway, America's most famous theater district, is dark. The Broadway League, a trade association representing the theater, announced that all live performances would be canceled from March 12th through at least April 12th. The governor of New York announced a ban on all public gatherings of 500 people or more, with the exception of public transportation, nursing homes, schools, and hospitals. He said Broadway could continue to operate, but at 50% capacity. However, the Broadway League said it would voluntarily close down for the health and safety of both performers and patrons. New York subsequently went into a much stricter lockdown. All forms of entertainment are now curtailed. Outside of full quarantine zones, some movie theaters remain open, but they won't be showing some of the spring's expected blockbusters. The release of No Time to Die, the new James Bond movie, was delayed. Other similar announcements followed. If you've been waiting for the 9th installment of Fast and Furious, You'll now have to wait 11 more months. That film's release was delayed until spring 2021. Filming of several big movies, including a new Mission Impossible movie, has been paused. Tom Hanks and his wife announced they had tested positive for coronavirus. They contracted it while filming a movie about Elvis Presley. I was supposed to go to a basketball game in the famous March Madness tournament, but that was canceled. At the time, I could hardly believe that they canceled the full tournament. But now, looking back, I can't believe that I was surprised that it was canceled. That just shows how quickly things have been changing. And now we're all working from home, but I'm stuck without any games to watch at night. So I guess it's catching up on my Netflix shows and documentaries. I finished the second season of Cable Girls on Netflix, and I'm just starting the 5th season of Better Call Saul. So that's what's on my list. If you're working at home and you find yourself with a little extra time each day, then why not dedicate that time to studying English? If you sign up as a member of Plain English Plus, you can explore over 65 video lessons, challenge yourself to listen to the fast version of this program, and so much more. If that sounds good to you, then visit us at plainenglish.com/plus. plainenglish.com/plus. Today's expression is to come into contact. You heard earlier that a basketball player came into contact with dozens of other players on other teams in games over the past few days. That simply means that he touched dozens of other players. Unlike golf, for example, where the players don't touch each other a lot, basketball is a very physical sport. They don't wear helmets, and their uniforms are shorts and tank top jerseys. They're sweating, touching each other, bumping into each other. There's a lot of physical contact in basketball, more so than in most sports. So when one player announced he had tested positive, other people started asking themselves, did I come into contact with this player? If so, when did I come into contact with him? Why do we say come into contact with instead of just contact? Well, contact can mean physical contact like touching, but it can also mean calling someone on the phone, emailing, texting, whatever. So when you want to specify physical touch, you can say come into contact. For example, the sentence, I contacted the police, means that you called the police. But I came into contact with an infected person means that you touched that person. The mayor of Miami tested positive for coronavirus after coming into contact with a member of the Brazilian president's staff who also has the virus. What kind of contact did they have? Well, they probably shook hands. That same staffer was also near President Trump, and his staff is evaluating whether the president himself came into contact with this staffer. As a precaution, the White House is taking the temperature of anyone likely to come into contact with the president in the future. That would be anyone going to a meeting with him, members of the press, staff, servers, people like that. Now, surely they'll take into account the latest findings on the normal body temperature, which is about a degree higher than previously thought. I typically do a news search for the expression just to find some good examples. And I got to the 18th page of Google News. And every example of come into contact with was coronavirus related. So I'll have to make up a few non-virus examples for you. If you have a rash on your skin, your doctor might ask you if you've come into contact with any unusual chemicals in the last few days. You might have had a negative reaction to a new kind of cleaning solution, or maybe something at work. Did you come into contact with anything new? Did your skin touch any new chemicals that might have caused a reaction? Do you remember the lesson about the ghost species discovered in human DNA? This ghost species likely came into contact with the Neanderthals and early humans, leaving traces of its DNA in modern humans. This species came into contact with early humans, and given the evidence, that contact was more than just a handshake. We talked about the hippos in Colombia. Most people in Antioquia don't come into contact with the hippos, but they are nevertheless nervous about potential run-ins with the large animals. If you come into contact with a stray dog or another animal, you might want to see a doctor for either a rabies test or just to get checked out. Animals often carry diseases that can damage humans, and you want to avoid contact with non-domesticated animals. But if you do come into contact with an animal for some reason, you'll want to see a doctor right away. You can use come into contact when describing war or battles. You might say that troops came into contact with the enemy. In that case, they don't shake hands or personally touch, but they exchange fire or they have a battle up close. So they didn't touch each other personally, but the two sides fired ammunition at the other, and the contact happens that way. These are all the various ways of saying come into contact with, but by far the most common way, and not just now, but the most common way to use this is to describe touching another person, generally in the context of the transmission of diseases. Well, despite all the negative headlines, there are some moments of levity, and the singer Gloria Gaynor has provided one. She is the voice behind the song I Will Survive, often described as a breakup anthem. Over the years, it has been used to cheer up women and men, but mostly women, to cheer them up after a breakup, telling them that they will survive the breakup. Well, Gloria Gaynor has challenged people to sing the main chorus of her song while washing their hands for 20 seconds. She demonstrated this in a video on TikTok, saying it only takes 20 seconds to survive. And so the latest TikTok sensation is people washing their hands and taking a video of themselves singing I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor. As long as I know how to love, I know I'll stay alive, the song goes. So think about that. Sing along maybe as you wash your hands for 20 seconds, singing this week's Song of the Week, I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor. That's all for today. I hope you are all staying safe, avoiding public places if possible. A good time to stay home, connect with friends and family, and slow down the pace of modern life, if that is an option for you. As for us, JR and I are safe, healthy, and working hard to bring you 2 new lessons each week. This show will go on. If you're stuck at home and looking to catch up on some English, then you might enjoy a membership to Plain English Plus. Unlock video lessons, translations, flashcards, the fast version of the audio, and much more by visiting plainenglish.com/plus, Plus, and sign up today.